This video is about multiplying and dividing negative numbers. It's pretty straightforward because there's just a basic set of rules that you have to follow, and I'll demonstrate with a few examples. Here are a few simple equations so that you can kind of see how this works. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. And I don't need to read all these off, but just take a look at them and see if you can figure out, see if you can sort of derive what the rules must be from these equations here. So, I mean, each of them sort of deals with a specific situation, and it actually works the same way regardless of multiplication or division. So, for example, negative 2 times positive 3 is negative 6. So a negative times a positive is a negative. In the same way, a positive divided by a negative is also going to be a negative. So it doesn't really matter if you're multiplying or dividing. It works the same way, and I just put examples of both instances in this case so that way you could realize that the rules are actually general. So I'm actually just going to write down this set of rules now that you sort of hopefully have a kind of an idea of what's going on here, and see if I can state it as concisely as possible. Alright, in terms of multiplication and division, a positive and a positive make a positive. That's not really a surprise because that's just normal numbers that we're used to. For example, 3 and 10. Positive 3 times positive 10 makes positive 30. The next one, negative and negative, also makes a positive. That's actually something you have to remember, but you can take a look at the examples there on the left. Negative 2 times negative 7 equals positive 14. The last two rules, a positive and a negative and a positive, both of those make negative. So that's actually, you can keep in mind, I mean, if you recall, the commutative property of multiplication, which basically just says that if you switch the order of the numbers, it doesn't change the answer. If you think about that, it should make sense why a positive and a negative and a positive are the same thing. I just wrote them out there so that there was no ambiguity. Anyways, it turns out that, you can just memorize these rules, but there's actually a easier way to remember them. So just look at it for a second and see if you can identify a pattern in the way that these rules are structured. So let's take a look at this. When the two signs that you're putting together are the same, the result's going to be positive. So, for example, a positive and a positive make a positive. A negative and a negative also make a positive. On the other hand, when the two signs that you're putting together are different, the result's going to be negative. That would be positive and negative make a negative, and negative and a positive make a negative. And that basically sums it up.